I wasn't going to make another video today, but I just watched a couple videos on YouTube, and from the title of the video, you probably already figured out they're Dr. Phil videos, and both were dealing with parental alienation and false accusations perpetrated by the mother of the children. And both links are in the description box, so you can check them out for yourselves. I mean, both are about 50-minute videos. They're entire shows. And both dealt with the father of the children being accused of sexually abusing their young daughters. In the first case, it was a black couple, black man, black ex girlfriend, and the girlfriend's mother. Okay. Second one was a white family, where it was, again, the mother 16 years ago was accusing the father of sexually abusing his daughter, saying that in both cases, the young daughters told, in the white couple's case, told the mother, and in the black couple's case, told the grandmother, and then the grandmother went and told the mother. And I appreciate the narcissism shows, the parental alienation shows, for at least they're out there and there's some exposure to it. But here's my problem with Dr. Phil, because look, I'm just going to cut to the chase here, okay? In both cases, both fathers were found to be telling the truth 100% on polygraph tests, administered by a top FBI agent who's an expert in the field of giving polygraphs. And in both cases, in the case of the black family, the grandmother who originally got the accusation was given a polygraph, and at the end of the show, in the white couple, the mother was given a polygraph. And in both those cases, both of those women were found to be lying 100%. And in both the cases, the men were found to be telling the truth that they didn't do it 100%. But in both these cases, and in other cases dealing with either sexual abuse or alienation or some kind of accusations where polygraphs are administered, even after the husbands are found telling the truth and the women are found not. And even though in the white couple, the statement was made before she was given the polygraph, even though the father was found to be telling the truth 100%, and there was this whole timeline where the entire show was where the mother's entire fucking story made no sense, didn't line up. There were inconsistencies, okay? Falsehoods being told that were provably false. The mother was saying that people said one thing, and then those people put in writing, I never said that. She has a tendency to exaggerate, what have you. But in both cases, okay, those links are in the description box, and I've seen it in other ones, and I just don't have the time to go find them. After the fathers were telling the truth, and the mothers were found to be lying, and their stories were, the whole show was how these mothers' stories were completely fucking ridiculous. Dr. Phil then takes a step back and says, well, I think you had the best intentions at heart. I don't think you were ill-intended. Bullshit. Bullshit. Who puts lies and thoughts into a child's head that their own father is sexually abusing them, okay? But doesn't have any ill intentions? You're well-intentioned. No, you're fucking not. You're an evil, narcissistic cunt, and you should be called out on national TV for it. But that's not what Dr. Phil does. He wants to keep the waters muddy and cloudy. He does this time and time and time again. Now I'm going to try to find some kind of evidence where the father's found to be lying. And he says the same thing. Well, sir, I think you have good intentions. Okay, I've yet to find it. If you can find it, post it up. I'll make a fucking video about it. This condition will not get better, whether it's narcissism, histrionics, borderline, parental alienation, false accusations that we all deal with, will not get better unless you call out the fucking abuser as a liar. As a liar. In the first case with the black couple, he hadn't seen his daughter in over a year. She was 4 years old. In the second case with the white couple, the daughter was 16 years old, and this guy walked around with the stigma on his head that he somehow hurt his daughter and sexually molested her. But after being proven that he's telling the truth, that he never touched her, that he never did anything to her whatsoever, basically got the highest score you can possibly get to pass a polygraph, which I believe he said to pass, the agent said you needed a +2, he got a +8. And the mother, I'm talking about the white couple here, the mother, you need a -4 in order to fail, she got a -6. And what does she go and turn to? The white couple. Oh, I don't care what that machine says. Jesus. Jesus knows. Jesus knows. Falling right back onto the old narcissistic playbook. Fall back on Jesus or religion or what have you. And with the black mother, or it was the black grandmother making up the lie. I don't know why, Dr. Phil, and she starts with the crying, and Dr. Phil even says, I'm seeing tears, I'm seeing crying, I'm hearing crying, I'm not seeing any tears. And then the mother says, I still believe my mother, I don't know what happened. Really? Really? Now, the white couple, the show, I guess, was a 2-day show. I didn't see the first half, where the daughter and the boyfriend ran off. The daughter said she ran off because the mother was so goddamn controlling. And then the stepfather is threatening the kid because he has guns and all. Like, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But the boyfriend's basically telling the girlfriend, I don't think this happened to you. The boyfriend's mother's telling her, this doesn't make any sense. I don't think it happened to you. So you have a pattern of controlling abuse from this mother, okay? And that was all before they brought the biological father on to deal with the accusations of sexual abuse. And what does the daughter say? And I'm not blaming the daughter here. I'm not, even though she's 16 years old. I still believe my mother, even though she just heard. And then she runs across the stage and hugs the stepfather in front of him. And there's stupid-ass Dr. Phil just sitting there like, oh, I want to help you. I want to help you. If that motherfucker wanted to help anybody, he would have turned to the daughter and say, you need to get away from these people immediately, the mother and the stepfather. I want to offer you all the help you can. Let me ask you something. Does Dr. Phil ever offer to get justice for the fathers who have been lied about? To have the children permanently removed from the lying alienator's care? No. What he did do, though, okay, because the mother was the white couple, the mother was accusing the boyfriend of basically kidnapping the daughter. He said, well, if that's the case, I'll have this guy taken out of here in handcuffs. Really? Really? So the father, the white father, who's no angel, And he admitted that. I guess he went to jail for some other reason. Nothing to do with sexual abuse, nothing like that. They didn't say what. Said he made his share of mistakes, he's cleaned up his life, whatever, at that point. That was never a bone of contention, the father's other criminal history that he had been involved in. The bone of contention was that he supposedly was sexually abusing his daughter at 2 years old. And for 15 years, this guy had to live with this over his head. And what does Dr. Phil do when it turns out that this mother's lying? That both husbands, both ex-husbands, or both men passed their polygraph test? I don't think, ladies, you're bad intentioned. Said that to the black grandmother. Said that to the fat white bitch of a fucking wife, ex-wife. I don't think you're bad intentioned. I think you had the best intentions at heart. Even though he called them both out. Well, if you thought your child was being abused, the same point that I've made several times, because both of these women then were delivering their children after the supposed accusations of abuse were going on, delivering them for visitation to the fathers. So if you really thought that was going on, why would you bring them there? But he doesn't close the case. He doesn't close the deal where he would confront these women about, why did you make this up? Where they're clearly making it up. Both mothers and the grandmother were in on it. And you could read it from their body language, you can read it from their behavior, you can read it from everything they say. It's clear they are born liars and manipulators. And when they don't get their way, they lash out and use their children. But that's not what Dr. Phil calls people out for. He's willing to have the boyfriend locked up if he kidnapped the teenage daughter, which he didn't do. I'll have him pulled out of here and handcuffed. I'll have him pulled out of here. I've heard him threaten several men on that fucking show that he'll have him pulled right out of there. But he does nothing. He does nothing when it's proven that these women lied. They lied to court officers. They lied to CPS. They lie. They brainwash their children. And they fuck them up for the rest of their lives. Make them basically hate their biological fathers. Nothing. Nothing. Oh, well, we'll offer you help. And we'll offer you whatever counts. Bullshit, you don't need counseling. Why don't you help them with a top lawyer so they can get their children away from these lying abusers? But that's not what he does. See, it makes real good TV with the polygraphs and the stories, okay? But there's no close. There's no close whatsoever. And you can probably hear the natives are brawling outside right now, and that's just where I live. So, what have you. Maybe I'll make a video about that someday. No accountability for these women whatsoever. None. None. And that's not to say that fathers don't do it too, but it happens much more prevalently with women. Dropping false accusations, ruining men's lives and reputations. Not that the white guy had a great reputation, because obviously he had some criminal history if he went to jail for some period of time. But he didn't sexually abuse his daughter. And the FBI agent who gave the test in both cases said, absolutely, unequivocally, without a doubt, those men are telling the truth. And Dr. Phil both times turns around and says, well, I think you're well intended. How so? You friggin' hack. I don't even think he's a psychologist. I think he might be a fucking foot doctor. No accountability for these women. None. Yet he's making threats against the boyfriend. I'll have him held out of here in handcuffs. Nothing for these women, though. Not a goddamn thing. Makes me sick. And I know a lot of you have suggested, I should contact Dr. Phil. I don't need to contact Dr. Phil. I know his producers are well aware of this channel. And I'll leave it at that. He is not helping. He's shining some sort of light on narcissism, some sort of light on parental alienation, but he doesn't go the full way. Why? Because he doesn't want the feminists to attack him. God forbid you actually hold a woman accountable for telling the most horrific lies you basically can tell against the father, and then brainwashing their children to believe it and to hate their own father. The white father, I think, went about 13, 14 years without seeing his daughter. Nothing. Nothing. Well-intentioned, huh? Well-intentioned. I think not. I think not. That's why channels like this, I think, are important. Because you get caught up in a media culture, you look at something like Dr. Phil, and you're like, thank God somebody mainstream is talking about it. Daytime talk. You don't get much bigger than Dr. Phil and Oprah. Because if he actually called out a woman, I'm sure his phone would be ringing off the hook from the Oprah. You can't do that to a woman. You don't know what that woman went through. Bullshit. These women aren't delicate flowers. They're lying, manipulative bitches who get away with telling the most horrific lies against their exes because they're pissed off. And even when they're caught lying on a goddamn federal FBI polygraph test, you're not ill-intentioned. No. There's no consequences for these women. Nothing. Makes me sick. So yeah, I really have no use for Dr. Phil whatsoever. To me, he's a hack. Okay? Half in, half out. Lukewarm, Don't go the full Monty. Don't go the full Monty and call it out for what it is. No, you might piss off some of these feminists. And boy, then is he going to have problems. I'd rather he not talk about it at all than to see another fucked up version of parental alienation and narcissism on full display, where the husband has to sit there on his hands even after he's proven that he's not lying and that the women are. And then they both had to sit there. I don't think you're ill-intentioned women. What would you call it? What would you call it? Call two women who are found on an FBI polygraph to be lying about their husbands sexually abusing their young daughters. If you can't even call them ill-intentioned, what can you call them? No help for justice, no offer for justice, no. He always wants to try to get him to fucking rent an Enterprise rent-a-car and drive home from fucking Chicago like that's going to solve the goddamn problem. Those are usually the narcissism ones. Okay? He still doesn't understand the concept of no fucking contact with these monsters. Because he doesn't see them as monsters. Or maybe he does, and that's the problem, and he won't call them out, which would make it even worse. All for ratings. We are at the start of being able to break through with all this shit, with narcissism and alienation and all that. But it's never going to happen if you got fat loser motherfuckers like Dr. Phil who muddy the waters and won't be honest about what the issue is. And if the issue's the man, then fine, call out the man. But when the issue's the woman, he won't go near it. He has to validate them somehow. It's like, oh, they were confused women and they just had the best intentions of the child at heart. By saying the father friggin' had sex with his own 2-year-old daughter and lying about it and failing a polygraph, both these women, the grandmother and the mother, said they were told by the children that this happened. And both of them were found to be lying about it. How is that well-intentioned? On what planet is that well-intentioned? And let me tell you something, women who have been alienated, because I know I just talked to a few of you tonight. Having that type of video, having that type of show out there that doesn't call out the women who do this shit hurts you. Hurts you. Because then you get caught up in the trap with the men and nobody's going to pay attention to you. And that's exactly what's been happening. Dr. Phil stinks on ice. He stinks on ice as far as I'm concerned. He's in it for the money, he's in it for the ratings, and he's in it so the fucking feminists don't get pissed off at him. Because it still makes good TV catching one of these fat cows lying on a polygraph. It still brings in the ratings. As long as he doesn't turn around and never takes the next step and say, why are you lying about it, bitch? Why are you evil, malignant cunt lying about probably the worst thing you can possibly lie about on a man? Alienating him from his children. Making the children believe that their own dad sexually molested them. You stink. You fucking stink. I am hot on this one. I am hot on this one. Check out the links for yourself. They're in the description box under the PayPal link. Again, if you enjoy this channel and you're getting something out of it, please consider making a contribution to the PayPal link in the description box, so we don't have to depend on fucking losers like Dr. Phil who aren't actually going to call anybody out and get to the heart of the issue, because that's what we're dealing with here. I have had it. You stink on ice, Dr. Phil. Solly Matthews. See you all again tomorrow.